Hello everybody. How are we all doing? I'm hoping incredibly well. Just a little bit of a shout out to the chat before we get going. Yes, I can be on time because it is currently 5 o'clock and I've started the stream on schedule. Maybe like 15 seconds late, but it's fine. Ha! Screw you. Um, Welcome in. Leeds United are facing off with Everton in, in, and this is the fun part. I'm going to whisper this because I really like it. In the Premier League. Yes, we made it back. Leeds United versus Everton at Elland Road is going to be a pretty damn good game of football, and I'm looking forward to it. And I figured we'd have a little bit of a chat about it. And I've even done some things like taking some notes on the ways that Everton have been playing recently and all that kind of stuff. And I thought I'd sort of look at the way that we're expected to sort of match up with them, what direction we think things are going to go, and ultimately make a few predictions and stuff like that. And I'm very much looking forward to it. But before I do so, just to check, is everything working good? I hope everything is working good, because if not, then I'm in deep shit. Where's my thing gone? Sorry, I did a thing and it's disappeared, which is good. No, there we go. I found it. So, a little bit of a chat about the way that Everton play, a little bit of a chat about how we play, all that kind of fun stuff, and it'll be all good. Can you genuinely not hear me, or is that a messing you can't hear me? If you can spam number one, if I'm... Oh, you twat, yeah. Genuinely, you threw me then, because I've been a bit worried about Streamlabs and the fact that sometimes I lose audio, which is an absolute pain in the arse. But it's good to know that it is actually working, so that's completely fine. What I'm going to do a predicted lineup. I'm going to talk about the way that Everton might sort of be expected to play, how we will respond to that, and ultimately roughly where I think we end up in this match. Which I think, spoiler warning, is a pretty damn good spot. So, to begin with, let's just jank with that a little bit. Press F11 there, all good. Right, so, going to go over to here, and I'm going to do a very quick rundown of the expected lineup. So, I think we're going to start with Lucas Perry in net. That just sort of makes sense. He's very clearly going to be our starting goalkeeper this season. In front of Lucas Perry, we are going to go with Strauch, and we're going to go with Rodon. Again, this is one that just sort of makes sense. Strauch and Rodon know what they're doing. They've worked together quite a lot, quite effectively. And it's more a case of... How am I going to put that? It's more a case of... Can they make it in the Premier League? Then can they make it together? Because we know that they can make it together. That's what they do. Then Gudmundsson will play at left back. I'm going to move the fullbacks up a touch, just to sort of balance it. I don't like how Gudmundsson's name is so much longer than Bogle, though, because that makes everything look completely out of balance, and I hate it. Then in central midfield, I'm going to do something controversial here, and I'm going to put these here, and I'm going to put another one slightly further back, because this, in reality, is going to be Ethan Ampadu, who's going to be sitting a little bit deeper than Anton Stack, and out Tanaka. Then we push up a little bit further into the wide areas. Is that lined up? That's lined up. I hate the difference in name length. It's absolutely killing me here. Where I think we see Dan James out on the left. I think we see Willie Nonto out on the right. And then up top, because he started against AC Milan, I think it just sort of makes sense. I'm going to go Joel Piroe. Just because this is the side that we played, well, that we roughly started with against AC Milan, just this time including Jayden Bogle, rather than Isaac Schmidt. I think this is what we've been setting up for in the general direction of, and I think it would sort of make sense to do that. Championship next season with this team? Absolutely not. Have you seen the Premier League? Have you seen some of the awful teams that played this weekend? The fact that so many people are still jumping to the idea that, like, Leeds are going to go down if we play this with this team, that's bollocks. You know that's bollocks. Come on. In terms of potential options to replace players, Rysel, for example, thinks that Longstaff will start over Tanaka. I very much don't think that is going to be the case. And I primarily don't think that that's going to be the case because I feel like Longstaff didn't quite impress enough in pre-season, which is a little bit of a shame because I do genuinely quite like the guy and I think he's going to have a fantastic career at Leeds. But I think in the immediate term, he's maybe a little bit further away than that, whereas we know what Tanaka can do. We've seen that quality in competitive games of football before, and I think we can continue to see that going forwards. This is sort of the out of possession shape. So realistically, when you've not got the ball, in fact, I'll do a quick copy paste of it, and then we'll do one for in and one for out of possession. Cool. I need more of a gap there. That'll do. Right, okay, cool. So, out of possession, because we will be out of possession at points, we'll see Bogle and Gudmundsson effectively pushed back a bit further. I'm not going to go too far because Gudmundsson's name is too long. Hold on. Gudmundsson. There we go. That's a little bit nicer. Ampadu will effectively drop back in with these guys. Stack and Tanaka will do the same. And I think we'll be in a spot where Piru drops a little bit deeper than Nonto and James do, just because these two are quite good at sort of leading the press and forcing them to recycle the ball a little bit quicker than they'll necessarily want to. And being able to apply that pressure from these areas is what is going to be key, in my opinion. Then we got the in possession stuff, and in possession, things get weird. Let's just switch you to Gudmundsson. There we go. Have I cut? Yeah, okay, cool. Which is effectively going to see these fly up the pitch, and Ampadu is relatively going to drop, with Rodon and Strauch going a touch wider. Is that balanced? That looks balanced. That's fine. Stack and Tanaka will be sort of here. Well, in reality, they're sort of even with your Bogle and your Gudmundsson, because that's just sort of what we do, and I quite like that that's what we do. It makes things a little bit fun. And we'll just go nuts on them. And occasionally Stack will push on, or Tanaka will push on, and they will cause a few more problems for the Everton side. Whether or not that happens, we'll have to see, but I don't know. I suppose this team can slide into a 4-2-3-1. It can. Why didn't I save a basic version? Haha! There we go. Yes, going into a 4-2-3-1 is fairly easy. So if you are chasing the game in the second half, for example, and you think, right, okay, so we need a little bit more of an attacking output. This is why I quite like a 4-3-3. It's why I quite like a 4-1-4-1. It's why I quite like a 4-2-3-1. Because they're all effectively the same formation, just a little bit different. You got your back four, you got your wide areas. Who knows beyond that? Also, I've seen that there is a potential chance that DCL might be injured, which would be a little bit of a shame. But I'm going to have to look into that in a little bit more detail. Please don't take that as gospel. It's one person that has said it to me, rather than many. So I'm going to have to double check that at some point. That point isn't right now, but it's quite easy to go, right, Ampadu, can you shift across a little bit for us, just to sort of shore up that side of the back line? Stack, can you do it on the other side? And then you push Tanaka into this space, replace them with an Aronson, or maybe you even just say, right, Tanaka comes off, Mecha, and then Piru can do that late arrivals thing that he's quite good at doing. There's also a chance that if it comes to it, you go, right, you out there, you out there. It's functionally a 4-4-2 now. Like, having a 4-3-3 means that you're very, very flexible with just one or two substitutions. You're not sort of causing yourselves any issues in any way, shape, or form the vast majority of the time. So I'm kind of happy with that. I like the 4-2-3-1 kind of idea. I'd like Tanaka to play a more forward role. I don't know. I think it's because it's something we've not really necessarily seen him do. It's not something that I want to push. Because if it doesn't work, there's going to be a lot of people that are like, well, that was stupid. Why did you do that? And it's like, well, because everyone was asking for it for years and years on end. That's why it happened, because you kept demanding that it happen. Hang on. Okay. Very weird. He has really good sight. Yes, but at the same time, all I think you do if you push Tanaka into a more forward position is you take out his ability to use time to find the right pass. Whereas in the position that he currently tends to play, which is a little bit deeper, he's got that little bit more time to just think about, right, okay, what's the right ball here? And if I pick out the right ball, brilliant, we're all heading in the right direction. Pick out the wrong ball, and it's a turnover. Everton have control of the game now, and we've caused problems. I think the approach that we'll look to take is as much of the match as possible as we are able to control. I've phrased that completely wrong, but I'm going to keep rolling. But if we control as much of the match as possible, if we retain the ball, we'll have significantly fewer problems. Because if we're able to do that, then we make sure that they don't have it, which means that they're not able to score against us. That's the kind of thing that I know is like relatively boring from a football analytics-y perspective, but it's the kind of thing that just makes sense to do. The kind of thing that you have to do if you want to survive and if you want to keep on going and keep on growing and all that kind of fun stuff. On the Everton tempo stuff, right, there was an interesting note that I saw yesterday. I'm going to have to pull up. If I can find it. 1 second. Give me the club. There we go. Everton. Let's go to last season. Let's go to the final match of last season, where they won 1-0 against Newcastle. Interesting note, by the way. And I'm going to do a very quick bit of maths. David Moyes Everton joining date. Right, January the 11th, 2025. Right after they beat Peterborough, which is a weird timing. But if you have a look at their fixtures since Moyes came in the league, they've only had more than 50% of possession 3 times. And that is in 18 games of football, which means that they're going to be pretty happy to cede possession of the ball and cede control, because they think they can control a game from a position of not having possession, which is a really, really fun way of saying that. But whilst that would typically mean, okay, they like playing transitional stuff, which means that they're a team that are going to try and hit you relatively fast on the counter, there are a couple of little things over the summer that have made me think that that's potentially not the case. So if I head over to Transfermarkt very quickly and I go to Everton and I change monitor, hello Everton, and we go to signings. Tieno Barry, fine, fair enough. Tieno Barry is the kind of guy that will get on the end of chances. Maybe he's good for like transitional stuff. But then you look at the other moves around it, and you look at Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, who isn't someone that is going to sprint at you and do the transitional stuff. He's good at unlocking a defence with various bits of passing and stuff like that, which is lovely for him. However, it doesn't really suit the idea of you're not going to have that much possession, you're not going to control the game, which could be a little bit of a problem. Jack Grealish is someone who, when he's taking someone on, will head in their general direction and doesn't tend to dribble past them recently. He's someone who will go up to someone, think, can I beat you relatively easily? No, okay, so I will put the ball in another direction and I'll try again at some point later. Alcaraz, I'll be honest, I can't remember enough about. Adam Asnou is, again, one that I don't know that much about, but I think he's relatively direct, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. But if you're looking at the various signings that they've got in, a lot of that screams to me that it's not the most direct transitional bit of football. They're not going to be throwing men at you and playing the really physical game anymore, because Dewsbury-Hall and Grealish, who are going to be 2 sort of key parts of that attack, aren't really that good when it comes to playing the physical game. And then you've got on the other side of the conversation, because what we were doing last season is we were doing the sort of controlling the ball with possession stuff ridiculously well. That was all well and good. That was fantastic. We loved it. Whereas this season, why is it showing me Jorginho Rutter? It's showing me club record arrivals, which I'm going to shift away. Whereas you look at us, and you got Anton Stack, who is a big bastard, and you've got Jakobiol, who is a big bastard, and Lucas Perry, big bastard. Sean Longstaff, moderately big bastard, alongside Gudmundsson, but Bornout is a big bastard. As is Metcher. Calvert-Lewin is a bit big. He's like, what, 6'2", maybe? Which, that's a hell of a lot of big boy footballers, and it means that if they're trying to play their counter-attacking transitional stuff, they're going to relatively fail, because when it comes to aerial balls, we have a far better chance now. And at the same time, when it comes to doing the keeping control of the game stuff and the slowing things down and the trying to make sure that everything works, that's a form of football that we have become very, very, very familiar with over the past couple of seasons. That's the shape of the game that we like, because we're happy enough to just say, no, okay, if this attack isn't paying off, pop it back to Strout, we'll recycle the play a little bit, and we'll start again from that initial spot. So I think Everton are in a very weird spot, where if they try and play the transitional stuff, it might not work out for them. Admittedly, if we don't have Jayden Bogle, I think we will, as far as I'm aware. But if Jayden Bogle isn't available for this match, then we might get hit hard on the transition, because it's either Isaac Schmidt, who doesn't tend to have the positioning to deal with it, or it will be Sam Byram, who isn't really going to get up that much, well, as much as Byram, to sort of match that fight. Similarly, we don't know how good Gudmundsson necessarily is at getting back and covering on the very, very difficult transitional stuff. We know he's quick. We know he's ridiculously quick. We've seen that he's quick. But it's a question of, is he quick enough for the full 90 to stop a team that tends to be a little bit transitional? And I think he will be. I'm confident enough on that front to make sure that everything's going to be fine. But yeah, to summarise all of that, I think we'll be better at the transitional stuff because we've got the better players for doing that. Whereas I think they're going to try and shift from their current more transition-y thing that they do to more of a controlling style of play. And I think that being a match against us where we're first seeing that little transformation from one to the next, and it's not going to be a bang, we've gone immediately more controlling of games. It's going to be a process, and I think with an itchy nostril, this is the perfect point in that process to play against them. Because they don't necessarily have the experience of playing that style of game. The recycle stuff from the Champo is in the Champo, not the Premier League. Yeah, okay, cool, but that's still the style, if that makes sense. That's still sort of the structure in which we've been playing. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that that is going to not work purely because it's against different people now. Because at the same time, the bottom end of the Premier League last year, that wasn't good. Like, that was shit. Those were not good teams. It was Ipswich who were beatable. It was Southampton, who I forgot about, who were beatable. It was Leicester, who were very beatable. And I do agree, we're probably going to play a 4-3-3. But that entire concept in that system is based on you control the middle of the park. And you control the ball, and that means that they don't get those great opportunities against you. So I think you can play in a 4-3-3 and control the pace and structure of play. Those two don't disagree with each other as concepts. They're effectively the same thing. And I think it's going to work out pretty well for us, because I think we're in the right position for it to work out for us. And I'm going to be quite happy with that, to be completely honest with you. I'm really, really looking forward to it. And in terms of prediction, and I'm going to be... I don't know if it's bold, but I think we win. I'm going to go with maybe like a 2-0. I think we're a better team than a lot of people in the fan base give ourselves credit for, which is a little bit of a shame, because like it feels like the last 2 or 3 weeks has been a case of people are sat there and going, we've not made a transfer in the last week, and ignoring the fact that earlier in the window we did a hell of a lot of very, very, very good business. And I think forgetting that is removing a hell of a lot of credit from the club, where I'll be honest, it's earned. They've had a very good summer, in my opinion, where the players that they've got in is Lucas Perry, who is a very good, very, very good player. Longstaff, who, again, Premier League experience for everyone that likes to shout the words Premier League experience. You've got Stack, who was one of the Bundesliga's best players last year. We've got Biol, who was wanted by many, many clubs that aren't just us. And I think if you add all of the sort of talented footballers that we've gotten in, it's easy to forget that I kind of lost that sentence halfway through. Hold on, give me a second. Thanks, brain. I really appreciate when you do that. Yeah, when you account for all the players that we've gotten in, you start to look at it and go, actually, that's not that bad. That's a very, very decent window and bit of business that we've done throughout, and I'm very happy with it, to be completely honest with you. And I think it puts us in a very, very good spot for the Everton game. I'm going to run a very quick poll, actually, and I'm a little bit curious. And I'm going to say, start, not a Q&A, well done, mate. We're going to start a poll. We're going to say, what do you think will be the result tonight? Will it be a Leeds win? Will it be a draw? Or will it be an Everton win? I'm curious. It's all optics. For some, if we don't spend 40 million on one player, it isn't good enough. DCL had a good season. He's 30 million. Metch's good season's 15. Jack Harrison, good season's 20 million plus. I could go on. Yeah. Player value is such a weird thing because depending on, what country you play in, the amount that a club is going to charge you for a player varies, which is just one of the many, many signs of football transfers are weird. And I think going by pure amounts of money that are spent is a pretty poor approach. Look at the qualities of the player, don't just look at the size of the number. And this window, above all of others, I think a hell of a lot of people have fallen into that trap. And it's a shame, because, genuinely, the majority of the time, Leeds fans online can be pretty smart. But when it comes to being a little bit spooked and the panic kicking in, the panic kicks in. And it kicks in hard. And I would like that to not happen so much, because I think the more sensible we are, the better spot we're going to be in. Also, I'm going to do a little bit of a positive, nice, good vibes shout-outy thing for a moment. And it's specifically surrounding the person that not many people like very much, which is Jack Harrison, who has very, very kindly, let's add, put a significant chunk of money behind one of the bars at a pub. I'm trying to find the specific notification just so I can pull it up and give you the actual info. Oh, it's at the Peacock. I didn't know it was at the Peacock. Yeah, Jack Harrison's put £2,500 behind the bar, so everyone can have a drink. And whilst that isn't necessarily him doing it on the pitch, it's a pretty fucking good start to go, look, I'm trying here, guys. I'm doing my best. And I think even as just a sort of aesthetic thing, as he just wants to look like he's doing something. He has still done a thing. So I think it's a step in the right direction for sort of fixing that relationship between him and fans. Moot Hall. It's not just Moot Hall, it's the Peacock as well. So he's done it in 2 different locations. So he's put quite a lot of money behind bars for this match, which is sort of appreciated. Some will still slate him whilst enjoying the drink he's paid for. Yeah, I think, for me, I'm still going to remain in the spot of not being super comfy with him until he does something on the pitch. Because, we know that he's got a lot in him to turn things around on the pitch. I'm just less of a fan of... I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of the situation that led to him not being here. I don't know what the Women's Aid piece is, but I'll have a look. I'll be honest, I'm probably more annoyed with come on, brain. I'm more annoyed with Victor Orta for the contract than I am being annoyed at Jack Harrison. Because it's not Jack Harrison's fault. He signed the contract, that's okay. But it's one of those. If he plays and he plays well, all good. If he plays and he looks like he gives a shit, all good. Because that's what counts more than anything else. The fact that you can visibly tell that a player cares. Because if they don't give a shit, and you can visibly tell that they don't give a shit, then get out, stay out. Like you could tell sometimes when it was Max Vober last season, he didn't particularly want to be there. But he did what he needed to do in terms of like the off-pitch stuff now, Jack Harrison, and it's in terms of on-pitch that he just needs to sort of get on, do well, bosh, job done, fan Debbie Dozy. On the note of bosh, job done, fan Debbie Dozy, I would massively appreciate if you could pop a like on the stream. That'd be absolutely lovely. Or subscribe if you haven't yet. Thank you very much. He's helped us raise thousands of pounds for Leeds Women's Aid through donations of signed merch and direct cash donations. Ah, okay, I didn't know that bit. But fair enough. Fair enough, Jackie Haradonna. As well as putting money behind the bars. Yeah, he feels like a good egg. And he's an egg that I think is pointing in the right direction at the moment, and it's just about keeping that consistent now. And if he's able to consistently show that he does care about Leeds, then it feels kind of good. Which, that's fine. Wonder if he'll start. I don't think he starts. He sacked his mum from the PR job. Yeah, that'd do it as well. I don't think Jack Harrison's good enough. I think he's fine as a backup. I think if it was going into the season with Jack Harrison as our starting left winger, I'd be like, no, fucking not. Let's not do that. But I think as a spare part and a cog in that machine that you can just sort of like plug in and just say, can you do 20, 30 minutes here, and then that should get the job done and get us 3 points. That's where it's not particularly a problem, because we know from the fact that he thrived under Marcelo Bielsa as like the key example. You know that he's good in terms of work rate. You know that he is always going to give a shit. He's always going to push as hard as he can, both going forwards and going back. And now he's got that extra further sort of motivation behind him to say, okay, now you've got to do that and more to bring the fans back in. I think we're going to see a decent Jack Harrison if he gets on the pitch tonight. I hope he does. I very much hope that he does. Because it would be very nice to sort of, if we bring him on and it goes good, then that would be pretty nice. But I'm not certain, you know? Has to earn respect like all players. Yeah, it's true. I think he's currently in the process of trying to do that. Which is what... I've got the hiccups right now. Which is what this is. Like, it's sort of like, right, okay, I know that I screwed up in the past. Beer doesn't fix all problems, but it fixes some of them. So here's a little money behind some bars, and then I'll fix it on the pitch as well. Which is really what we're kind of looking for at the moment. Currently, the majority of the chat, by the way, believes that it will be a Leeds United win tonight. 69% saying yes, with 29% saying draw. Only 2% thinking it'll be an Everton win. I think that might be hopium, but we'll see. Currently, Evie's in Florida, and also I think I'm doing okay. I think the stream's going all right, actually. Do I necessarily need help? Oh, that's hurt. Bamford will not be on the bench, let's be honest. I am a little bit concerned at the various things that I've seen about a chance of DCL being injured. Because if that is the case, that's not great. I mean, we probably weren't going to be playing him this time anyway. But I don't know. It'd be nice to see him. That's all I'm going to say. And if he is injured, then that's okay, because at least we've got a Metcha on the bench and we've got a Gray on the bench. Having both of those is quite nice. I'm also looking forward to Okafor potentially signing for the club. He very, very probably won't be in Leeds, which is a shame, because the move isn't effectively agreed. But it'd be good if we were like, oh, we don't know if Okafor's signed yet, and we turn around and he's just like, oh, fuck, he's in the stands. Like that'd be wonderful. It's not going to happen, but it's the dream. And it's a dream that I would quite like. Florida, hope it's alive. I think it's on holiday, but I don't know. It is not for me to know anyway. But I'm not going to stream for too much longer because I've got some eating to do. This is pain, by the way, right? So you know how we all have our like pre-match routines and all this kind of stuff, and we have like, what do we want to do before a match to make you feel a little bit lucky? So in this case, I will put on a football shirt that feels right on that day. So on this day, this is my favourite shirt so far of the season. I've not got the third one yet, so I was just like, right, I'll pop this one on. It'll be lovely. I'm like, right, okay, so I know what time I need to be over on Big Up with Joe, which is going to be quite nice if people want to hop over to Big Up and say hello, that'd be wonderful. But that also, all good, cracking, lovely. In addition to that, there's a question around like, what am I going to have to eat before the match? And I was like, right, favourite takeaway, they do a really, really good calzone. So I'm going to get a calzone, and I'm going to order it during the pre-match stuff on Big Up, and I'm going to eat it throughout the match. Nope, because it's shut until the 23rd. So I'm going to have my lovely calzone for the Arsenal match. I'm not going to have my lovely calzone before that, which is sort of devastating. It'd be so good, but don't what? Farke wants 2 more players in. Does he want 2? Maybe. Maybe a creative 10 and a fullback, unless you're not counting Okafor. Okafor is basically done, as far as I'm aware. I wonder if there's more blue and yellow now in the stadium. There will be more blue and yellow than there is white, I think. There was significantly more yellow than white last season. Yeah, it'll be a wing-back and probably someone a little bit more creative. If Everton win while you eat the calzone, you won't be able to do that again. Yeah, that's true. I can't anyway, because I've not got the calzone, because it's fucking shut. But what I've decided to do as a sort of making up for it to myself is I am going to have the calzone, but I'm going to have it from a different place. So if it goes wrong, I can blame the place rather than blaming the calzone. That feels like the way to go with it. Should we be sad that El Canus is not an option now? Maybe a little bit, because I would have quite liked him. He's very clearly a good player. But I think if you spend too long looking at what could have been in the world of football, you are going to spend so much time being very, very miserable. Like Cody Gakpo, we ended up not getting him. He's a fantastic footballer. That doesn't mean that we should spend a little bit more time dwelling on it. It's fine. It's happened. Let's move on. And that's the sort of spot that I'm in with El Canus. Was he ever an option? I think he was, yeah, because otherwise all those stories wouldn't have necessarily come out. How have sales of the sales of the shirts gone? Which is the most popular? Rule of thumb is I sort of assume the away kit is always going to be the most popular, because the away kit is the one that changes. Look at the home kit, and it will always be white with a little bit of blue or yellow trim, or both, might be blue and yellow. Whereas away kits change. So last season was the yellow one, beautiful, best selling kit that we had, because we hadn't had a yellow kit in a while. Season before that, peacock kit, stunning, probably the best selling kit that we had that season. Season before that, fuck, what was the away kit that year? That was the blue cheese. That won't have done well because that was fuck ugly. But the trend of away shirts change, home shirts stay the same continues, which makes me think that the top selling kit this season is going to be this one. And what I've heard of next season's away kit is that is probably going to be ridiculously high selling, because that sounds lovely. It's like asking the barista out at your favourite coffee shop. If they say no, you've lost it all. Happened to a friend. I don't know if it did happen to a friend or if you're talking about personal experience there. That it feels like a personal experience thing, and it feels like a personal experience thing that you might need to talk through with someone. Because that sounds like it's hurt you. Hang on. I think Leicester are in a position of they realistically would like to keep El Kanous, but if it becomes financially unviable, then they just won't. Which is fine. That's all good. Anyway, right. I am gonna bring the stream to a close in a moment because I got some food to sort. I've got some getting comfy and cozy to sort. I've got some voice note from Jer to listen to on the topic of probably big up stuff. I don't know. What's the away kit next season supposed to be like? Spoilers. I'm not going to tell you. I've got half an idea, but I'm not going to tell you. But yeah, thanks for the stream, Joe. It's okay. Anyway, on the way out, if you'd fancy popping a like on the stream, that'd be absolutely spectacular. If you've not subscribed yet, please go ahead and do so. If you're not a channel member, please go ahead and do so. It's $2.99 a month. Really, very, very genuinely helps the channel out quite a lot. And yeah, I'm going to call it there. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see everybody later.